What's up, everybody? My name is Harry, and welcome to Experience Within. So, today's video, I'm going to be talking about sleep paralysis, as well as speaking about some tips and tricks to getting out of the body. Sleep paralysis. This can be a very scary thing when you don't know what's happening. I used to have sleep paralysis, and in case you don't know, sleep paralysis is the state in which you wake up mentally and you can see, but you can't physically move your body. It's like you're paralyzed, but you're fully conscious and awake. So that's sleep paralysis. And I used to have this happen to me every once in a while out of nowhere. I might be at work during lunch, finish eating, like I'll close my eyes for a second and wake up and can't move. It can be terrifying. And there were times where I was just like screaming in my mind to move and to wake up. The thing is, I was awake, I just couldn't move. And I would be like that maybe for a few minutes. It was crazy. So it could be really frightening when it happens. You imagine you wake up, you just can't move. So if you've experienced this, then you know what I mean. Now, this used to happen to me occasionally, and I had no control over it, and I was completely terrified of it until I learned being in a sleep paralysis state is one of the best states you could be in as a beginner of astral projecting or out of body experience because your body is not moving. So, what happens when you're practicing to leave the body is you're ideally laying down flat on your back, not moving, doing your meditative practice to leave the body. And in your mind, you're imagining sitting up out of your body or rolling out of your body one way or the other, or even climbing a rope to climb out of your body. There's a lot of different techniques for practicing leaving the body. My point is, when you're laying down, still not moving, you still might move because you're in your mind, you're moving your body, but sometimes you'll move. It happens. And ideally, you don't want that to happen. Now, when you're in sleep paralysis, there's very little chance of that happening because your body is not moving. You can't move your body. You're in paralysis mode. And so once I found out that this was the state in which I need to be in as a beginner, it completely changed my whole outlook on sleep paralysis. So, where I was terrified of it happening to me before, I was now seeking it to the point where I was trying to induce it. And occasionally I would induce sleep paralysis. I would intentionally make it happen. So, if this is something you're interested in, it's not difficult to do. You just have to be consistent. You have to practice it. Now, the practice of getting into a sleep paralysis state requires you to rest, go to bed, sleep, wake up in the middle of the night and do some mind exercises and then lay back down. So the concept is you're waking up, but you intentionally want your body to feel tired. You want a very tired body, but you want a super awake mind. Okay, so my practice used to be go to bed around 10 p.m. at night, and I would have my alarm set for 2:22 a.m. every single night. I would go to bed around 10. I would wake up at 2:22. I'd get in front of the computer, and I would usually do a maze or a labyrinth that I follow with just my eyes. The idea is I keep my body completely still and I just follow this maze with my eyes. In my mind, I'm telling myself that I want my mind to be awake. There's a lot of different affirmations you can use. And that's really what it is when you're repeating a phrase to yourself in your mind. It's an affirmation. So I might be repeating anything that I can use to keep me awake. And that was my practice. So I would do that for about 10 to 15 minutes, doing different mazes that I just follow with my eyes. Until they could be really big, complex mazes. And it might take a while to find the way out just using your eyes. And so that was a good technique that worked for me. The idea is to not move your body around a lot. You want your body to stay tired. So, whatever mental exercise you can do, and in my opinion, the maze was one of the easiest ones. You could read, but I don't recommend reading. I think the more active maze or labyrinth is the better system. I have to share with you what I've done, and I use the maze system. So I would recommend mazes. You can just go online, Google search different mazes, and just have them saved in your maze folder that you can click through maze after maze. After you complete one, you can go to the next maze or do the same thing backwards. But otherwise, that's my tip for sleep paralysis, getting into the sleep paralysis mode. Now, when it comes to leaving the body, let's say you get into the state, whether you get into the sleep paralysis or not, it's not required. It just makes things easier if you can get yourself into that state. Now, before getting into that state, you want to make sure you are completely comfortable. Even when you're just ready to lay down and practice out of body experience, you want to be completely comfortable. Make sure you use the bathroom, empty your bladder out. Whatever you have to do, one or two, you want to take care of that business and be completely empty. Ideally, another tip that I would do is I would not eat maybe my dinner or would not eat lunch and dinner, or maybe would not eat anything for the entire day. I would fast for the day. And when I fasted, I would have juices. Like I would make my own green juice, not a smoothie where I'm blending everything in a blender, but I'm using a juicer that's removing all the fibers from the vegetables and fruit, spinning at a slow 60 to 80 RPM. That's the ideal RPM you want a juicing machine to have. You want to stay away from high speed centrifugal juicers that spin really fast. They make the worst juice for yourself. I highly recommend juicing. You can get a juicer in the description box below. I'll have an Amazon link to different juicers and different health things I recommend, like grounding mats, also very important in my opinion. So once you have your juicer and your juicing, the purpose of the juice is number one, you get a lot of micronutrients you don't normally get from cooking food. So it's very healthy. But most importantly, your body, based on the 5, 6, 8 ingredients you're juicing, for yourself that these fresh organic fruits and vegetables are giving your body the nourishment that it needs. And you don't need to eat anything big and solid to get the nourishment. You can get tons of nourishment from simple juices. So now you're getting the nourishment, but you are still fasting. It's not a water fast, it's a juice fast. And that's my favorite. So I'm getting all the nourishment from my juice fast, but I'm still fasting because I'm not eating anything solid. And trust me, although you're getting the nourishment from your vegetables and fruit, you still feel like you're on a water fast. You feel hungry. And it takes time, usually like a week, to get over that feeling of hunger. You kind of make a breakthrough, realizing how you don't need to eat the way you normally might eat. So I like the juicing, very important, because your body is fasting and you are more energetic because of the juice. And just spiritually, you'll feel more energetic as well. And it's a very powerful feeling for this practice of out of body experience or even just prayer. It's very good to fast. So I highly recommend a juice fast. Next, you want to make sure you're laying down somewhere very comfortable. Ideally, you don't want to lay in your bed the way you normally lay in bed to go to sleep, because your mind and body is already programmed to fall asleep in your laying position. You want to switch it up. So instead of laying down the way you normally do, flip it. Put your head where your feet are normally and your feet where your head is, or even lay across the bed at an angle, or get off the bed altogether. You could go onto the floor, onto the couch, or into a comfortable reclining chair. But you want to be very comfortable. If it's a little chilly, you want to make sure you get a light blanket on. And this is important because any discomfort, you're going to feel it. And unfortunately, it might happen when you leave your body. Suddenly, you can feel a pain in your body, and that'll make you snap back in. So, to avoid the snap in, I'll just call it, make sure you're comfortable, you know? So, once you have your comfort, your juicing, I highly suggest you don't take any type of drugs, don't take any marijuana or any kind of pills or alcohol. You want to be off of everything and anything while you're doing this practice. It's really important. So now that you're laying down, you're following a guided meditation, which I would recommend. Once you have this, you're listening to the instructions from this guided meditation and you're just following along. One thing I want to tell you to practice is your breathing through your diaphragm. So instead of breathing where your chest rises like this, instead of that kind of breathing, you want to breathe from your diaphragm. So you want to inhale and have your stomach expand and exhale. So my stomach is expanding and contracting. So inhale, exhale. So I'm not moving in my chest. So this is a diaphragm breathing technique. So you want to practice doing that, sitting or lying down. Use your stomach to pull your diaphragm to inhale without moving your entire chest. So once you're diaphragm breathing, you're in an even deeper relaxed state. And next, while you're listening to the guided meditation, you want to try a number of techniques to get out the body. Now, ideally, you want to wait until you get to the vibration state. Probably not ideally. You probably always want to wait, but it could be a little bit different for everyone. So I know for myself, nothing would happen until I got to the vibration state. And I got there just by meditating, not moving, listening to the guided meditation, saying the affirmations in my mind. And by doing this, this is how I reach vibration state. And once you reach vibration state, you know at that moment, you can pop out of your body. So at that moment, as soon as you feel the vibration, and it'll be like no vibration you've ever felt before. Your entire body from head to toe will vibrate. Now, once you feel this vibration, you want to imagine rolling, you know? So what I also recommend is before doing the practice, whichever technique you're going to use, maybe practice all of them. Practice in the bed, physically actually moving your physical body. So if I was laying in bed, I would roll to my right, I would roll to my left, move my body. Remember the feeling of what it feels like to move your body, to roll it. Very important. You remember this feeling of rolling, the muscles, your bones, whatever. Roll and remember the feeling of the rolling action, because you're going to repeat that in your mind when you get to vibration state. As soon as you vibrate, you're going to imagine you're rolling and you're leaving your body. Your spirit body, your astral body is leaving your physical. So you imagine it and envision yourself rolling out of your physical body, which is laying and not moving. Very key step. Another really good technique is the rope method. It's pretty famous for astral projecting. And this is where you envision a rope coming down from above you, right in front of you. And imagine I'm laying down and I reach up in my mind, I'm reaching up, grabbing it, and pulling my body up. Okay, so what you want to do, if you can, practice this in reality. Get a real rope, ideally like one of those hemp ropes, the thick rope, like, on the docks and stuff, and hang it from someplace that's, sturdy, that you can pull your body up from it and it won't come down and hit you in the head or anything. So hang it, lay down under the rope, physically grab it and physically pull yourself up. And remember how the rope feels in your hands. Like, that's the reason I said that hemp rope, because it has a texture to it. And you can remember the feeling of the texture of the rope in your hands. And so as you do that, just pull yourself up and down a few times. You don't have to climb all the way up the rope, but just lift the weight of your body off the floor or off the bed, wherever you're laying. And do it in reality. Physically do it for real. But remember all the feelings of your arm muscles, your chest muscles, whatever muscles are engaged, and the texture of the rope in your hand. Remember all of that. It's key, because you're going to do the same movement while you're meditating, not moving your body. You're going to envision what you practice of your hands reaching up, grabbing the rope, feeling the texture, and you pulling. You're going to envision all that when you get to the vibration state. As soon as you get to that vibration, and then the other thing is, you're doing this in your mind with your imagination. And so you are unlimited in your imagination. You have to think and be unlimited. And what I mean by that is, as an example, the rope method, I would grab the rope and pull myself up and almost do it like if I was doing it in reality, right? But I have already remembered the feeling of my muscles, the texture of the rope in my hand. I have all this now in my mind with my imagination. I'm doing this, but I'm doing this at an incredible speed, like as fast as I can possibly do it. And I can even see myself as a blur. And at the whole time in my mind, I'm saying I'm pulling myself out of my body. I'm leaving my body. I'm getting out of the body, and I'm doing this. But I envision it happening quickly, as well as the rolling method. I envision it rolling, right? When I started, I would envision it like normal speed. But then I got to the point where I just envisioned myself spinning around and around and around, like one of those alligator death rolls, where they spin round and round and round. So I envision that in my mind. So I'm not just doing it once. I might do it a few hundred times in just a moment, right? Which other direction, left or right? You're doing the rolling method. So, and then there's also the sitting up method. And you can do a lot of sit-ups, right? Some crunches. Ideally sit all the way up, right? Do a bunch of sit-ups. Remember that feeling in your muscle and in your calf and your leg, because you're holding yourself. Whatever feeling you have, you want to remember it all. Embedded in your memory, that feeling of doing a sit-up. And a sit-up is another technique where once you get to the vibration state, envision yourself sitting up, right? Because we're going from a laying down state. And so those are just a few techniques, the rolling, the rope, and the sitting up method, that you can practice once you get to the vibration state. And the vibration state could take you anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour, 45 minutes. It would happen for me usually around the 20 or 30-minute mark by listening to the guided meditation. And there are a few different ones I listen to, but I'm gonna share one link in the description box below for one of my favorite guided meditations. So those are my tips for getting out of the body. Now, some other tips I have are before the practice, and these are breathing techniques. So let's say you're gun-ho about getting out of the body. You really want to get out of your body. Okay. So now we have that settled. Now that's going to take massive effort on your side. It might not take very long, or it might take some time. When I started, it took me about 3 months before I had my first conscious astral projection, out of body experience. It took me 3 months. So I'm not saying it's going to take you that long. If you're practicing these techniques that I developed over time and you're practicing them right away, they're going to help you tremendously. The other thing I want to say is doing a breathing technique where you do about 30, maybe start off easy. It depends on your health conditions. I don't want anyone to get hurt or hyperventilate, but you're going to do about anywhere from 10 to 30 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. If you could do like a slow, like 7-second count in for 7 seconds and then exhale out, or even 5 seconds, whatever you're comfortably can do, the longest inhale and exhale, you want to do that. Ideally, I'll do like a 7-second inhale, right? And then a 7-second exhale, right? But when I do that inhale, I'm going as deep as I can, feeling my lungs up all the way up here, right? And so I'll do that about 30 times. This is what I do just before laying down to do the meditation. Another tip I have for you is hydrogen water. So they have these, I have a machine that I use to inhale hydrogen. And then with the same machine, I can also bubble water to put hydrogen gas in my water. Now they have, for far less money, these smaller cups that produce hydrogen. Now there are a bunch of different models, and I have one model that I'll be sharing with my Amazon link in the description box below. And so I would highly recommend purchasing hydrogen water bottle. So you can put your water in there, it'll produce hydrogen for like 10-15 minutes, and then you drink it, and this is super good, super energy. You get a lot of great energy from hydrogen. So many benefits. Our DNA makeup mostly consists of hydrogen. So if your DNA is hydrogen and you're intaking hydrogen, it's really good for you. And there's a lot of health benefits for hydrogen. So I highly recommend that because it's supercharging your body, because the hydrogen gas can penetrate just about everything and anything because the molecules are so small, they go through everything. So when you're drinking hydrogen water or inhaling the gas, like what I'm inhaling is called the Brown's gas. It's hydrogen mixed with oxygen. I'm pretty sure these machines are the same thing, hydrogen oxygen mix. And so they're really good. So when you're doing this, you're charging your body up. Hydrogen's getting into parts of your cells that oxygen has trouble getting into without you doing deep breathing techniques. But I would say if you practice those things I mentioned, you have a really, really good shot at getting out of your body really quickly. You just have to take the steps. So I'll review one more time. The first thing is get a juicer if you don't have one. Link in the description box below, so you can remove all the fiber and you get all the macronutrients. Your body absorbs it without having to process it in the stomach. It'll just be able to absorb the nutrients. So you're going to juice. This is what I would recommend for myself and for anybody else who's wanting to practice this. After the juicing, you want to do the hydrogen water, right? Drink the hydrogen, let your hydrogen build up, hydrogen bubble pressure in your cup, and drink that. Also doing the deep breathing methods, maybe while you're drinking the hydrogen water, do some breaths, drink some water, and then practice the different rolling out and rope method techniques, as well as the sleep paralysis technique of going to bed. And you can set your own time, so whatever would make you feel tired. Like if you woke up maybe 3 hours of sleeping, after 3 hours you woke up, like I don't know what your schedules are. I would go to bed late a lot of times. So for me, 10 p.m. to 2:22 in the morning worked well. But whatever works best for you. And really, the earlier in the morning or rather the later in the morning it is, like 4 or 5 in the morning, is actually really good as well for having out of body experiences. But this technique of sleep paralysis is pretty unique. As far as I know, I came up with that my own technique of how to induce a sleep paralysis mode. So those are my tips for health and for getting out of the body. Anyway, that's it for now. Peace out. I love you all, and I'll catch you later.